You noble diggers, all stand up now.
Hello my friends and welcome to my channel. Today we will be talking about what will family law be like after the revolution. A lot of people, some people see the family unit as sacrosanct. That is the way it is in all common law formulations. The rights of the family, of the dynasty, are almost held above the rights of the state. They are not formally, right? But in myth, in essence, they are, right? That the state retains the absolute power to go over these rights, but that mostly these rights are allowed to play out. These rights are detrimental to civilization. These are privileges that have become overgrown weeds. The right to educate your child is the right to commit sedition, in my opinion. You owe that child the pursuit of happiness and to not let them hone their own abilities in the best way possible is sedition. It's traitorous. It's criminal against that child, right? And there are all sorts of carve-outs that we just take our hands off because for what reason? I have no idea. There are religious extremists that just get a pass, right? Just get to be a weight on society because they don't agree with society. Who are they to disagree with all society? Who are they to not obey the laws and the rights of that child? So, what you have to remember when people talk about the sacrosanctity of the family unit is that man is the political animal. That's what Aristotle says, that everything is political. That means even the air you breathe is political. And that means that familial formations are up for grabs. They have to be under the purview of the state. And that further, that if you are a dialectical materialist, you do not believe that God instructed you to abide by these family structures, that was a man who wrote that, another person. And I don't owe a Bronze Age barbarian my allegiance. I see farther, I've read more. And a society can only be as free as its lowest members. I will never be free as long as there is repression, as long as there is sexual familial repression, which is the font of all other repressions in the world. There is already a linguistic revolution underway, right? It is unable to be resisted, especially in the courts who pride themselves falsely and arrogantly of being so reasonable that they are unable to resist the best path forward. And so an example of this, of course, is the change recently in most jurisdictions of the language surrounding what a child is, right? It used to be parental authority, right? Or who had custody of the child, right? Very medieval, very property rights. And now it's not that at all. Instead of parental authority, it's parental responsibility, right? And instead of custody, it's living arrangements, right? Or care plan. Children need to be treated like people. If the bureaucratic machinery can't even identify them as people, then how can the system be expected to treat them like people? And why should I owe the hallucinations of these dynasties anything, right? Why should I obey these weird Norman knights and their weird patriarchal dynasties, right? Where they command their families with an iron fist, right? It is the most disgusting oppression to ever witness, and I have witnessed it. It's within my own family I've seen this at work. But a family unit, even being tightened in this way to abide by these hallucinations of these illiterate subhuman Christians, it lessens the ability to garden better children, right? It takes a village to raise a child. The who counts as a parental figure to a child matters deeply on the relationships that that child has, right? It could be an elder, it could be a caretaker, it could be any number of figures, it could be 5 figures that are their parents, right? It could be 2 lesbians and their surrogate sperm donor who shows up to be the opposite sexual influence in their lives, right? I do not owe the Christian sense of family anything. I certainly don't owe semi-literate, subhuman Christians any kind of argument on what we should be doing. They argue in bad faith. They don't deserve rights. And liberation comes from material conditions, right? How can you say you have a free society when you think about all those women who can't leave their husbands because they'll be out on the street, right? They stay in abusive, verbally and physically abusive relationships because they just have nowhere to go, right? Or these children that grow up, as I was saying, without any opportunity, right? Or mentally stunted because they just happen to be born into a dynasty that is allowed to abuse their children because of their hallucinations and fantasies about what is in the sky, right? China doesn't do that, right? China asserts its authority as the state, as the highest duty of the state. That these people are the building blocks of the state. They are the future owner-operators of the state. And for some barbaric religious zealot to tell me that they know better, right? Traitorous, seditious, right? If you would like to look more into what the family units should look like in family law, right? These are the references that I'm giving you. Cuba is far and away the most developed right now. It has the most advanced family law. They are reaching towards a polyamory, even acceptance of law, right? I'm not polyamorous, just for the record, but I see an acceptance as the highest path forward to the most productivity, to the most understanding within society. Obviously, you should look to the 1917, 1918 Soviet workers' movements, which are excellent. And to leave you today, I'm going to leave with this Engels quote. Have a nice day. With the transfer of the means of production into common ownership, the single family ceases to be the economic unit of society. Private housekeeping is transformed into a social industry. The care and education of children becomes a public matter. Society looks after all children alike, whether they are legitimate or not. Hello, you've made it to the end of the video. Thank you. This channel has one mission: to prevent civilizational collapse associated with climate change, to prevent 100 million refugees by 2035, to stop 7 billion from starving to death by 2075. And we will do this through one main vehicle. We mean to unite the Anglosphere. We will do this by convincing the Commonwealth of His Majesty King Charles III to apply for statehood as one. And then with this new power, we will be able to negotiate in good faith with the rest of the world on how to tackle this crisis. Thank you and enjoy.